Mr. Speaker, it's good. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this appropriation bill 2526 presented by the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance at Tuesday, 22nd April, sitting of this Parliament. I stand here today, Mr. Speaker, as a proud, confident, and enthusiastic member of this government under the dynamic, steadfast, and brilliant leadership of the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, who has demonstrated his love, commitment, and dedication to the people of St. Lucia as Prime Minister ever since he assumed office in July of 2021. Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister and Minister for Finance has proven time and time again to be caring, to be loving, and to be a conscionable leader, working at all times in the interests of the people of this country. Since becoming a member of cabinet in his government, Mr. Speaker, upon his invitation, Prime Minister Pierre has proven to be a man of honesty, a man of sincerity, a man of dignity, a man of honor, a man of commitment, a man of dedication. And that, Mr. Speaker, is reflected in his presentation of the appropriation bill last Tuesday. He can be trusted. His word is his bound. He holds no vendetta, neither is he vindictive. He cares for his people. Mr. Speaker, I listened attentively to the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance. The member for Castries East delivered his policy statement on the budget last Tuesday under the theme enhancing our infrastructure for security and prosperity. I couldn't but help marvel at the Prime Minister's brilliance, his tenacity and unwavering conviction to the mantra, the clarion call, putting people first. Mr. Speaker, while this caring Prime Minister and government are putting people first, there are those empty barrels reverberating through our communities as they roll with the baseless slogan of right the wrong. But, Mr. Speaker, if the opening of 4 technical vocational education institutes is considered to be wrong, I'd rather be wrong. If expanding universal health care program for the offering of free diabetes and hypertension medication to the offering of maternal and child health services, cervical cancer screening, prostate cancer screening, urology consultations, and snake bite management is considered wrong by them, I'd rather be wrong. If the establishment, Mr. Speaker, of 10 million MSME loan grant facility with plans to increase it is considered wrong on their part, I'd rather be wrong. If honoring the payment of 11.5 million back pay that was not settled by the last administration is considered wrong, I'd rather be wrong. If an additional payment of 34.5 million in back pay is considered wrong, I still rather be wrong. An unexpected one-time bonus of $500 to public servants was paid, I still rather be wrong. And the list continues, Mr. Speaker. And when I heard earlier on the Minister for Sports speak about the cage the cage fiasco. I can attest to it. I can attest to it. Because I remembered, and while they try all sorts of things to castigate me and to call me snake, etc., I recalled a meeting with the then Prime Minister at Cocoa Palm in a last-minute ditch to determine whether I was on board or not. He raised the question with me, Mr. Speaker. He said that Cage was taking over the Baywalk Treasure Bay Casino. But Cage was asking that they enjoy tax and VAT-free concessions to take it over. My response to him was, Mr. Prime Minister, why do you want to give away the shop? Why do you want to give away revenue that you are already enjoying just in the interest of one organization? But you let the cat out of the bag. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, he did it. He gave it away on the eve of election, and it's our young people, our athletes, who have suffered the consequences of that fatal decision. Mr. Speaker, this government has demonstrated a clear indication of a government that is working. The list of fulfilled promises is a clear indication of a government at work, working hard for the people of this country, rather than the one that failed the people in the past. Mr. Speaker, I am convinced, based on the contents of the Prime Minister's budget presentation, the policy statement, based on the successes reflected there, based on what is being offered. I heard the parliamentary representative for Babonneau saying that it was a giveaway budget. I call it a caring budget, because in this budget statement, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has demonstrated that he cares for all. In every sector, in every social strata, in every part of this country, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has come to the table and said, we are working for you, we want to help you, we want you to be part of an economy that cares for all St. Lucians, to give each of them an opportunity to participate. And that's the nature of this government, Mr. Speaker. A government that cares, a leader that cares, a leader that loves his people, and a leader that will stop at no end to fulfill the promises for his people. Promises made, promises kept. Mr. Speaker, I want to, in the process, respond to a few things, and one of them is what was raised by the parliamentary representative for Choiseul, when he raised the issue of Wasco, Mr. Speaker, in which he said that the last administration did work on the Roseau Dam, and this administration never continued. Mr. Speaker, I'll one day have the opportunity, if it's not done previously, to release a forensic audit which was done on the Roseau Dam. A forensic audit which speaks to the mismanagement, the misuse, the corruption which took place on this project of desilting the dam, Mr. Speaker. I will one day release it, Mr. Speaker. And I recall, Mr. Speaker, as part of the report which I read some time ago, you know, the auditors, the forensic auditors indicated that the findings confirm gross non-conformities related to the use of the dredging fee account as per conditions set by the regulator, including misuse of funds and gross mismanagement of the project. gross mismanagement of the project. I recall it, Mr. Speaker. I was the minister responsible for the NUC, the National Utility Regulatory Authority. I was given instructions to dismiss the CEO because the CEO refused to adhere to their instructions to deviate from the rules and the conditions set by the NUC. Mr. Speaker, in that report, Mr. Speaker, it speaks to the amount used from the dredging fund account exceeded the regulatory cap limit of 60 million, and that exceeded it by 9 million. So in other words, the cap was 60 million. They went overboard by 9 million, Mr. Speaker. And the overall amount they went by over at the end of the day was $16.5 million. $16.5 million, indicating that they were dredging. I said a forensic audit was done. In the auditor's report, I don't have it here with me, in the auditor's report, I read that the amount used from the dredging fund account exceeded the regulatory capped limit of 60 million, set by the NUC by $9 million. And the funds disbursed from the dredging fund account exceeded the project cost by 16.5 million. Well, if you ever read the report, that's exactly what it's saying. It says wastage and payments for unqualified claims submitted by contractor. Unqualified claims. So today the minister and I'm sure probably he doesn't even know about that. There are many things he didn't know. So here we are, Mr. Speaker, in a climate where the entire country is crying out loud because they cannot get water. The mechanism established, the fund established, as a consequence of deductions in the payment of water rates, $60 million to dredge the dam. They didn't dredge 10% of what was to be dredged because they changed the modality of the project to facilitate their own doings and went over by $16.5 million, meaning $76.5 million spent, and not even 10% of the dam was dredged. And today you come and you speak about it was dredged, 700 million gallons capacity. We lost about 500 million in silt. But you claim that this administration has failed to continue the project, whereas all the...
Member for Switzerland, Altibus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe the member is misleading. I'll say that because the member is quoting from a forensic audit that I have never seen. It's not in the public space. But because I don't know whether he's saying something that's not the truth, Mr. Speaker. But you see,
member for Switzerland, you can say you're not aware of what he's saying.
Yes.
But you can't say he's misleading if you haven't read it.
Well, if I don't know the truth, Mr. Speaker, I don't know.
But it's not. But you don't know what he's saying to be correct.
What I do know, Mr. Speaker, is that the president of the CDB currently had a video expressing his satisfaction with the project, and there was no objection to pay at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker. That is what I do know.
I understand that, member, but you stood on a point of order that he was misleading the House, and then you immediately accepted you have no idea you didn't read what he's reading from. Well, then you ask that, but you can't say he's misleading.
You want this? Mr. Speaker, I can share this with him as a document of the House. But, Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading himself. He's misleading himself. He must take a look around him and change course. And so, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things that took place in the former administration. And they come here today like saints, as if, you know, they have done no wrong. But, Mr. Speaker, let me move on with some aspects of the Department of Infrastructure, Ports, Transport, Physical Development, and Urban Renewal. And many times people tend to believe that that department is simply responsible for blocking potholes. But we have a range of portfolios, Mr. Speaker: infrastructure, ports, transport, public utilities, electronic communications, etc., all of which under that department. I want to mention and speak to the issue of geothermal, the geothermal bill, what is normally referred to as the Renewable Energy Sector Development Project. Mr. Speaker, that project is well underway. And it is St. Lucia's long-term energy vision, which was approved in the National Energy Transition Strategy, which aims to reduce dependence on imported fossil fuels. For some time now, Mr. Speaker, the government has been working, and it started way in about 2012, thereabout, has been working on the opportunities that are available by moving in the direction of renewable energy. And so our energy mix, our energy profile, as set out, comprises solar, wind, geothermal, and the potential for ocean tech, and in recent times, an opportunity for nuclear energy. This, Mr. Speaker, is being attempted mainly to see how we can improve on our services here in this country and to impact positively on our domestic sector, our people, who are for years claiming, and of course with evidence, that the cost of electricity is too high. Our manufacturers and businesses, the tourism sector, who are themselves indicating that the cost of electricity is affecting production. And so what we are doing, Mr. Speaker, with a loan from the World Bank, it is a grant as we speak, but once we are able to successfully discover full potential of the supply of electricity to attract an investor, we will be able to provide an opportunity for at least participating in a mix that will attempt to bring the cost of electricity down. The project activities, Mr. Speaker, at this time includes the finalization of land acquisition for all project sites, civil works, drilling works, which should start anytime from now, resettlement action plan for persons affected, drafting of the geothermal environmental social impact assessment and the ESIA regulations. All of these, Mr. Speaker, are necessary to create the enabling environment for geothermal. The socio-economic benefits, Mr. Speaker, of geothermal is that consumers, as I said earlier, and throughout the country would benefit from lower and more stable electricity prices. Increased economic activities, reduction in air pollution. In the long term, benefits to St. Lucia would include increased renewable energy penetration, lower electricity tariffs for all consumers. Overall, legislation policy will contribute to St. Lucia's effort to develop a greener, resilient, and independent, improve quality of life, and protect the local and global environment. Mr. Speaker, I now move on to the question of energy efficiency. While we continue to move to renewables, we also believe that there are some steps that can be taken and getting involved in energy efficiency, among them being utilizing solar lamps or what we call LED bulbs. Energy efficiency is a low-hanging fruit, Mr. Speaker, in addressing the issues within the energy sector. Often the intervention of energy efficiency comes at a little or not cost comes at a little or no cost, as there are both passive and active measures that can reap tangible benefits. There is what we call the Caribbean Efficiency and Green Energy Building, which is a project aimed at retrofitting a number of government properties to provide solar panels for the support of those sectors. Some of the public buildings, Owen King EU Hospital, the Tissue Culture Lab, Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, Financial Administration Center, Bodley Correctional Facility, Victoria Hospital, Soufre Hospital, Heraldin Rock Building, Sir Stanislaus James Building, Francis Compton Building. These are some of the buildings that we are looking at to retrofit to provide an opportunity for reduced energy. Some benefits: reducing energy costs, environmental concerns improvement, energy security, economic development, meeting international commitments, and the list continues. Mr. Speaker, the most evident initiative ahead of us is that of the electricity supply bill. That bill was presented for first reading towards the end of the last session of Parliament. But we will return with it, Mr. Speaker, for first reading and second and third reading in an endeavor to move forward with that piece of legislation. The legislation, Mr. Speaker, allows for the decoupling of energy as a consequence of fossil fuels and integrating renewable energy, whether it's solar, wind, or other, to allow independent power producers to participate in this sector. What it means, Mr. Speaker, is that Lucia, who has the monopoly for generation of energy or electricity through fossil fuels at this time, that monopoly ends in the year 2045. Notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, once the legislation goes through, it means that anyone who wants to participate in the sector can participate, but under regulation of the NUC, the National Utility Regulatory Commission. Mr. Speaker, the success of having a sustainable, renewable energy sector would benefit consumers throughout the country who would be able to be more confident in a more transparent electricity billing system. It will increase attractiveness for investors wishing to participate in the economy. It will provide reduction in the country's reliance on imported fossil fuels, increase renewable energy penetration, job creation, increase energy resilience and independence, economic growth across several sectors, including tourism and agriculture. These are the opportunities, Mr. Speaker, that this piece of legislation will provide to our people. What is happening now, Mr. Speaker? A number of individuals who are of the opinion that the bill does not allow the kinds of liberty that they anticipate seem to have a concern. The problem is, Mr. Speaker, in the design of a renewable energy sector, we have to be very careful that we don't kill the goose that laid the golden egg for something else. So while Lucia is part of the overall structure, the grid, which is owned by Lucia, Mr. Speaker, will be required for the independent power producers who would like to generate and distribute to other power purchasers or even Lucia itself. So we have to be careful. Some refer to Barbados as having gone through the process and are quite happy with what's going on. But what is happening in Barbados, Mr. Speaker, is that the grid in Barbados has been overloaded with renewable energy suppliers, producers. That grid, Mr. Speaker, has become very unstable. So what you do have happening are blackouts and grayouts. Blackouts meaning the shutdown, the entire shutdown of the system, and grayouts meaning the instability and fluctuation in the provision of energy, creating a nuisance to many who will participate. Mr. Speaker, I will give much more on this one when the time comes for the debate of the bill. The issue, Mr. Speaker, of the Transport Division, again, quickly, Mr. Speaker, the Transport Division this year, we are looking to undertake a number of initiatives geared towards improving the transport sector. Among them, Mr. Speaker, is the need for a very aggressive road safety program to allow for an improvement in what is happening on our roads. Many of our roads, particularly after they are constructed, persons seem to take advantage and to feel that it is a time to utilize it excessively and race, and we have seen an increase in the number of road fatalities taking place on our roads. In fact, recently, I had one or two individuals from the Castries Central area, from Rosehill and those areas, who have approached me to indicate that now that the Chaussee Road has been reconstructed, motorists are traversing that road with great speed, threatening senior citizens and others who are attempting to cross the road. And so that is the behavior of our people. Once you fix the road, then they believe it's a highway and they can speed. And now the people are saying we need to put pedestrian crossings, which we'll put. We need to put speed bumps, which they hope that we'll put to slow down the traffic. And then the motorists start complaining there are too many speed bumps on the road. But our people must be disciplined, and we're hoping that through the Transport Department, the Road Transport Board, we will be able to do some work in that endeavor. Mr. Speaker, under that department, we're looking at the policy to include standards for driver education behavior. We have problems there. Improved standards for road infrastructure engineering, standards for garage inspections, vehicle roadworthiness. That's an area we have some problems. In that, whereas the private sector is involved in the inspection and certification of vehicles, in some instances, we believe that some garages are being dishonest by issuing certification without proper inspection, and in one or two cases, to know that they don't even have a hoist to inspect the vehicle. So we're going to tighten up on this situation and to improve it, and to do have what we call spot checks to ensure that vehicles on the roads are, of course, in good condition. One of the things we have discovered, Mr. Speaker, and not too long ago, we were able to apprehend a particular driver. What they do on inspection days, they would switch the tires, just borrow tires from another vehicle, and borrow a light, etc., retrofit it just to the inspection, go to the inspection, get approved, and by the time they get approval, then they return the tires, etc., and go back to their old tires, which would not have passed the test. So we're looking at all of those things, Mr. Speaker, to see what we can do. The question of transportation of hazard materials, Mr. Speaker, aggregate, is one area we need to tighten. There are persons who are transporting material, whether it's quarry material or other hazardous waste, and of course to the detriment of the general public. Local bus stops and terminals, we are, Mr. Speaker, looking in that direction, and I'll just give you an update on what one of the major projects we hope that we can get off the ground sometime this year once we can get the resources. We're looking at issues of location of utility poles, road audits to be conducted, review of social and economic impacts of crashes and fatalities, medical fitness to operate a motor vehicle. And I do know that some people who get to the age of 70 who are called upon to participate or to conduct some kind of fitness test or to return on the road with an examiner, there is some level of resistance, and we're trying to see how we can at least maintain the requirement, but probably do some kind of virtual training to prepare them and to get them to go through the exercise. Emergency traffic management, Mr. Speaker, vulnerable road users, street vending, stray animals, and that is one that has been a problem to many administrations along the Castries-Grosley Highway, particularly with stray animals, much of which have affected motorists and their vehicles. The use of cellular phones, Mr. Speaker, while driving is necessary. Public awareness and legislation enforcement, Mr. Speaker, all of these are to be looked at under the arrangements that we're doing. Mr. Speaker, a study was done by the World Bank, St. Lucia, Grenada, and Guyana, and the intention was to see how we can improve on our public transportation system. St. Lucia was looked at, and following the report of the study, we requested that they should go a little deeper and look at our system, since St. Lucia is different to Grenada and different to Guyana, that they should look at our system and do two things. One, to look at the issue of increases or regulating the rates. We here in St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker, really do not have any yardstick, any measurement for at least determining increases in rates. What has happened over the years, once the associations believe that there's a need to increase the rates because cost of tires, cost of parts, and the cost of fuel is moving up, then they appeal to the government, and the government makes certain concessions. We either give them an increase, or we give them concessions on fuel, duty-free concessions, etc., etc. I said to them, we need to get a scientific approach to this. So the CDB now, Mr. Speaker, has done that study, and they have presented a report to the ministry, which I will be taking to Cabinet for Cabinet's consideration, of course, after having discussions with the St. Lucia, the National Council of Public Transportation, who themselves seem to be quite happy with it on the way forward. Once we can get this to Cabinet, then most likely we may have to come to Parliament with the proposal. The second initiative which we requested of them is to look at bus terminals, and the Prime Minister mentioned. This year, we are looking, based on the report and the advice given by the CDB's report, we're looking at 2 bus terminals, the Castries Northern Bus Terminal, which we have identified the gardens as the location for that bus terminal. What we will do is the section where I believe the Grosley buses assemble, which is on the closer to the tennis courts, and the sediment pond, which is on the eastern end. That entire area, Mr. Speaker, will be considered for a bus terminal. But we're looking at doing a multi-story terminal that will allow us to be able to use different levels for different locations. So southbound traffic most likely will take off from the ground floor. Northbound traffic will take up from the upper floor. And of course, the terminal should have a number of concession booths, etc., for persons who want to be able to be there and to participate. That will help, Mr. Speaker, although we have not spoken to the Castries City Council or the parliamentary rep. But once the design is completed, Mr. Speaker, we are hoping that we can now use them as a means of alleviating the crowdedness on the streets with vendors who are blocking up sidewalks, etc., and the traffic. So we have, Mr. Speaker, an investor who is prepared to participate in a PPP with the government, design, build, finance, design, build, and construct. And they are currently working on the designs, and I am hoping that very soon we'll be able to present it to the Cabinet of Ministers. Mr. Speaker, motor vehicles and road traffic license regulations. The unregulated production of license plates continues to pose a challenge to law enforcement agencies. The proliferation of a variety of fonts, plate sizes, and colors are non-compliant with the legislation and international standards. The Department of Infrastructure continues to receive complaints from motor vehicle owners that their license numbers are being used unlawfully, resulting in distressing encounters with law enforcement personnel. The problem here, Mr. Speaker, we have a number of problems. Persons are generating their own number plates. They're using it conveniently to participate in activities, illegal activities and otherwise. And when checked, it is a number plate that is registered in someone else's name. Secondly, number plates we recognize, and I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you're very familiar with that all of a sudden there's a proliferation of different fonts and 3D plates, etc. And the ministry is saying there is a requirement under the law. It gives you specifications, but what they're doing is to develop their own different sizes, 3D, etc. And the police is saying we're having difficulty with this. We recently published an essay indicating the need and stating the regulations, the specifications for number plates. But we suspended it because there seemed to have been some kind of appeal for time before we can do this. I'll be going back to Cabinet with this matter, Mr. Speaker, and to get Cabinet's approval and to make a presentation to Cabinet so as to move on and get this matter resolved once and for all. We cannot have everybody doing their own thing. We need to have standardized plates on the road that all may follow. Transport costs and tariff calculation model, Mr. Speaker, I just spoke about that, the model that the CDB has proposed, and we're hoping very soon, once the NCOPT agrees, we can move forward with it. Motor vehicle and road traffic, public transportation complaints for many years, Mr. Speaker. The NCOPT and others within the public transportation sector have been saying the time has come to discipline drivers who seem to violate the laws and violate the rights of others. What we have found out from the AG's chambers, Mr. Speaker, we don't necessarily need to have a disciplinary committee, but the Public Transportation, the Road Transport Board, can establish a grievance mechanism to allow members of the public or route associations to lodge complaints and to deal with those matters. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, through the St. Lucia Road Transport Board, a Public Transportation Complaints Committee will be established with the legal authority to receive these complaints and make appropriate recommendations to the Minister for these complaints to be effectively, completely, and decisively addressed. Road infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. During the debate of the estimates, I did give a full overview of road infrastructure and what we are doing this year, what we have done rather last year. I would like to suggest, Mr. Speaker, that St. Lucia's infrastructure system stands at a critical crossroads as climate change and other activities are affecting our infrastructure. One of the things we must do, Mr. Speaker, in moving forward as we continue to improve on our road infrastructure is the existing Works and Roads Act, which was drafted in pre-climate crisis era, 1905, and amended in 1956 thereabout. That is the same piece of legislation that we're using. It speaks about pounds, shillings, and pence, 1956, sorry. It speaks about pounds, shillings, and pence, horse and cart, carriage, etc., and even the fees and charges, Mr. Speaker, are negligible. We just cannot use it. And so, Mr. Speaker, in our Infrastructure 2030 strategic plan, one of the initiatives we will be undertaking is the review of the legislation to make it more modern and applicable at this time, Mr. Speaker. We have in our allocation this year, Mr. Speaker, resources allocation to engage a consultant and to have the consultant draft new legislation for the sector. It is anticipated, Mr. Speaker, that the National Infrastructure Policy, which will be developed as part of the overall plan, will highlight a catalytic role of infrastructure to social and economic development. The main objectives will be 1, to design and construct climate-resilient public infrastructure, 2, to support the development of adequate public infrastructure for all sectors, to maintain and manage public infrastructure in a sustainable manner, and 4, to apply international standards to all infrastructure development. The National Infrastructure Policy will support government's thrust to ensure that all public infrastructure projects are completed to cost, quality, and time. Mr. Speaker, this is so important because in many instances, persons are deviating from standards. We need to have a system where we maintain standards. Even within the Department of Infrastructure, we need to be able to ensure that our roads are built to particular standards, that the environment within which we build those roads are up to a standard, that we maintain international standards, and that our people are given the best in road infrastructure and other public infrastructure in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, this year, as we speak of infrastructure, many a times parliamentarians would request, well, what are you doing for me? What are you doing? The Minister for Sports spoke a while ago and he listed a number of communities, a number of sports facilities which will be built throughout the island. And I was looking this morning, he indicated again his commitment to Leclerc and the upgrade of the Leclerc playing field. After all, the Leclerc football team is the island champs of the semi-professional league, and they deserve to be given the best. No, don't you worry. Next year, this year or next year, it will be worse. We gave you all a little break. But, Mr. Speaker, on my part, notwithstanding the list of roads which were mentioned last time I spoke, I believe it was almost 60 roads throughout the country, to demonstrate that, notwithstanding the lies of the opposition, to give the impression that nothing is happening, and they say this for every sector, nothing is happening in health. Health is the worst ever. The minister is the worst health minister. In sports, they say the same thing. In agriculture, they say nothing is happening. And so in infrastructure, it's even worse. Because I often say to my people complain about the health sector when they get into the emergency department. People complain about agriculture only when they feel they're being affected. They complain about sports only when there's something. But people complain about roads the moment they step onto that pavement or drive on that pavement. Because that is one department, one piece of infrastructure that everybody visits every day. Whether you're walking, riding, or whatever, or driving. So, Mr. Speaker, in addition to those roads which were mentioned, and Prime Minister gave a list from Majormel, Beauséjour, Chaussee Road, La Ressource, Fort Saint-Jacques, and the Minister is very happy about Fort Saint-Jacques, Waterworks Road, etc. We have a package of roads which hopefully we can start soon after the budget. This package includes,
Member
Mr.
for
Speaker.
Castries North, you have 15 minutes left?
How much?
15.
15, okay. This package of road, Mr. Speaker, includes Rosalie B Road Rehabilitation Project, and it is current bypass. Current bypass. Then we have Babono, Asuba Road under this specific project, and there are 3 other roads, Mr. Speaker, which will fall under the other project, other program within the ministry. Vieux-Fort North, Mr. Speaker, we have Fort des Road, Kako to Bellevue, Beauséjour to Lower Grace Road, Grace Woodlands Road, and we have a set of other roads which will deal with the Opicon to Canals, Opicon. and one or two others. Then you have the Castries North Roads, Mr. Speaker, Active Hill to City Gate, and the La Passe Mondidon Road, which affects both Central and Castries North. And you have Waterworks Road. I noticed they placed it in Castries North, but it's ongoing. It is really in Castries East and ends in Castries Central. Castries Southeast Roads, we have the Lacroix to Ansa, which is the most critical road, and there's some other smaller roads, Mr. Speaker, which will fall under our RIMP program. You have the Lacroix to Ansa. Then you have the Castries South Roads Rehabilitation, Kubaril Section 1 and Kubaril Section 2, and we have done a number of other roads which I mentioned, Mr. Speaker, the last time. Then you have the Richmond Ring Road, and that is in the constituency of Dennery North, the Richmond Ring Road. In the Dennery South Road Rehabilitation Project, we have Green Mountain and Bois Joli, and we also have some roads in the village which are down for consideration. Miku Road Rehabilitation, and that is Miku North. We have the Maho Road. We're already on La Pointe. We will be doing Sainte Marie, and there is the Maho Road, which will be attended. Labri, Catin Auger, Mont-Leblanc. This is under this particular program, and under the RIMP, we are hoping to do some sidewalks, drainage systems, and one or two other roads. And in Choiseul, we're not like them. We don't leave them out. We have the Saldibus Grace Road and the Gayabois Road, and I'm sure the parliamentary representative will be very happy with that. When you see it, you'll be happy. We will deliver. So, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the roads that we will be attending to in this coming season. There's some other areas, Mr. Speaker, I just want to gloss over. I will not need any more time, Mr. Speaker. I want to speak about the issue of meteorology, Meteorological Services Division, which is National Hydrometeorology Services and Model Meteorological Services, Mr. Speaker. That has to do, Mr. Speaker, with the climate and weather, etc., etc. We don't seem to make much about it, but now, Mr. Speaker, particularly with what's going on in the United States, with the activities of the American government, the United States government, we are called upon to enhance our services, because much of the funding for regional meteorological services have been withdrawn, and our people are called upon to improve. So, Government of St. Lucia has adopted the Regional Strategic Policy and Model Meteorological Services Bill, which were developed by the Caribbean Meteorological Organization for English-speaking members of CARICOM. The Regional Strategic Policy was developed to guide, govern, and regulate the provision of efficient, effective weather and climate services in pursuit of the safety of life, preservation of livelihood, protection of property, and safeguarding of the natural environment. In addition, Mr. Speaker, it further serves to foster a culture of national, regional, and international cooperation between and among national meteorological and hydrometeorological services, relevant stakeholders, and others. Mr. Speaker, this is so important because at this time as we speak, some of the services that we got from the United States in terms of weather, being able to predict weather and to communicate on weather issues, to guide whether it's our officials, our farmers, or even our airplanes who use our space. That, Mr. Speaker, is compromised because of the actions of the United States. So we in the region, CARICOM region, we've got to build our own system and to be a lot more independent in that regard. Mr. Speaker, maritime services. Again, maritime services falls under the Department of Infrastructure. And in recent times, what we have done is to attempt to decouple the maritime services from SLASPA and establish what we call a maritime authority. Because SLASPA cannot be an operator and a regulator at the same time. So we need to establish a regulatory authority to be able to regulate SLASPA and to regulate all maritime operators so that they can conform to the rules. And the Cabinet established a committee, Mr. Speaker, which met. They've been meeting. They've made their report. And therefore, a new mandate has been given in moving forward to establish the St. Lucia Maritime Authority. What we need to determine, Mr. Speaker, is whether we set up an authority, a public authority, or a private authority, or public-private authority. In some countries, it's a private sector entity which manages the authority for the government. We believe in St. Lucia, maybe what we need to do is to set up an authority in conjunction with a private sector entity to be able to provide a hybrid of services that can be second to none in the region. We have so far, Mr. Speaker, in moving forward, we have been able to promulgate the St. Lucia Shipping and Maritime Authority Bill, which will establish a maritime authority to be administered and enforce all matters relating to shipping, all waterborne commercial and non-commercial activities, the issues of ship registration, surveys, inspections, and all other services related to maritime. The Shipping Safety Management System regulations, Mr. Speaker, we've been able to put that through. The Ship and Marine Pollution Bill, a serious one, Mr. Speaker. This bill will ensure that St. Lucia's legislation is consistent with internationally and nationally agreed best practices. Then you have the Shipping Caribbean Cargo Surveys, Ship Survey and Construction Regulations. And all of these, Mr. Speaker, are initiatives and regulations that more or less guide in ensuring that the sector is regulated properly and meets international standards. A Cabinet-appointed committee, advisory committee, has been given a mandate to oversee the transitioning of the Division of Maritime Affairs within the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority to a statutory maritime authority under the Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport. That's exactly what I said earlier. And then, Mr. Speaker, we move to telecommunications. Telecommunications, Mr. Speaker, again under the Department of Infrastructure. We are now in the process of taking to Parliament what is called the Electronic Telecommunications Bill. In a nutshell, that bill is really an advancement, a re-engineered bill that takes into consideration the time that we are in. The time that we are in, Mr. Speaker, we deal with electronics. We deal with electronic communications. We deal with cell phones. The piece of legislation which existed before, Mr. Speaker, dealt with landlines and this sort of thing. And the environment of telecommunications, Mr. Speaker, has been so revolutionized that you need to ensure that you have the right legal framework to enable us to participate in this environment. Mr. Speaker, this piece of legislation is ready for Parliament, and very soon I will be presenting it. I want to, in closing, Mr. Speaker, move to a few areas on the Department of Physical Development, Physical Planning and Urban Renewal, and to speak of our initiative in setting up what we call the e-registry. And the e-registry, Mr. Speaker, is a project which past administrations have been speaking for a long time in trying to use that resource that we have, a resource that deals with our land assets, a resource that means that persons need to know what is available to be able to determine their level of investment, one that can generate tremendous profit, tremendous revenue to the country. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we have been able to engage the World Bank, and they have been working with us, Mr. Speaker, to attempt to modernize the land registry. First, to digitize the land registry so that it makes it a lot more efficient. What is happening now, Mr. Speaker, you go to the land registry to retrieve information. It's a physical book. You've got to go to a vault, pull it up. Sometimes it's dry rot. You cannot handle it properly. To get those land registries, etc., registers, etc., Mr. Speaker, the attempt here is to digitize the land registry and then to put the land registry online So that if an investor, Mr. Speaker, wants to engage or wants to access the St. Lucia Land Registry, they must pay a fee, either a one-time fee or pay a subscription, which will not be the $5 that people go to the land registry to get a block and parcel register, but a subscription that will bring revenue into the country so that they have access, and the access will protect you, the individuals, us.
Member, you have 5 minutes left.
Give me about 10 minutes. 32.8.
Member from Eco North.
Mr. Speaker, as that standing order 32.8 be invoked and that the member be given an extra 30 minutes to complete this presentation.
Members, the question is that standing order 32.8 be suspended and standing order 32.10 be invoked to allow the member for Castries North an additional 30 minutes in which to complete his presentation. And now for the question, as many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Please proceed, member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. A member said for 30 minutes they need 3 rooms. So let's see how we do this. And as I was saying, Mr. Speaker, with the land registry, this sort of development that is taking place there will allow us to digitize and to be able to put the land registry on a platform that provides accessibility to anyone wanting to venture, wanting to access the information there. However, there will be security measures placed in there to avoid persons going into what I call private aspects of an individual. So if someone wants to see whether the offer made by the parliamentary rep for Choiseul of a piece of land at Monja belongs to him, he can go in once he has the block and parcel number and to be able to see, yes, it's in his name, or no, it's not in his name, but it's in the name of Stephenson King. So that sort of situation he can do. But he cannot go in there, Mr. Speaker, and investigate this situation and to probably find out, well, he'll find out if he has a mortgage on the land, but other issues, if registered, then that person would not be able to go in. So, Mr. Speaker, we're in a very advanced stage at this present time, and I'm hoping that very soon, sooner than later, we will be able to report to the general public and inform them of this activity. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important activity because the land registry has had the problem of persons who complain about getting there and waiting long hours to get the service. Documents being missed, unable to get the documents on time. So once that system is in place, Mr. Speaker, we'll be able to provide a more efficient service and a service that is very reliable. Now, we do have some problems now. I mean, we have come a long way. The service has improved. We've got a new land registrar, a new deputy registrar, and we can see improvement. But yet still, there are people who would tell you, my document is at the land registry and I cannot get it for 2 weeks. It has not reached there yet, Mr. Speaker. Somebody said it's there, but it's not there. And so all of these issues will be dealt with where persons can go online and find out exactly where the documents are. I want to commend the land registry, the land registrar and his staff for the work which they have been doing over the last few months. I want to also move on, Mr. Speaker, and to indicate that this project is valued at $1.9 million US, and it will span for 19 months, focusing on system development, contract management, change management, and capacity building. There is a need for consultant, stakeholder engagement, etc., which has already started in an endeavor to be able to do what is right in that case. Some of the challenges, Mr. Speaker, of this one is that the inception phase also identified several key challenges hindering the efficiency of the land administration. Current legislation that is incompatible with full automation and digitization of the land registry, lack of digital integration between the departments, land registry, surveys, and mapping sections, complete reliance on manual processes, as I indicated, use of physical logbooks slows down document retrieval and increases errors. Inadequate human resources at the land registry. However, I must thank the Prime Minister for agreeing to give us some additional resources to be able to augment the human capacity necessary. Then the Development Control Authority, Mr. Speaker. This is one unit, Mr. Speaker, one department that we need to begin to seriously move forward with. The Development Control Authority, Mr. Speaker, resides more or less physically in the Department of Physical Development. That authority needs to be an independent authority. It needs to have its own resources, human and other resources, to conduct its affairs. It is not right, Mr. Speaker, that a planning officer or a buildings officer is the one to go out there into the field and to do the necessary work of the DCA, and yet still return and to be able to do the work that they're called upon within the department. So we will hope, Mr. Speaker, that we can move on and to really and truly develop and commit to work that was already started in establishing a Development Control Authority as a statutory body. However, Mr. Speaker, one achievement of the department this year is the Land Development Regulations, Environmental Impact Assessment Regulations, and the Environmental Protection Area Regulations for the Pitons Management Area, which, where we made provisions for the orderly development of land in St. Lucia. Those regulations, Mr. Speaker, were published and are now enforced, and that has enhanced the capacity and the ability of the department, the Development Control Authority, in conducting its affairs. However, Mr. Speaker, a step that will realize a landscape that we can all continue to be proud of, as with all laws, public sensitization is crucial, and so we have to undertake some public sensitization. But, Mr. Speaker, moving forward, Mr. Speaker, there are a few other areas where we need to take some action. One of those is that of the Crown Lands Department. The Crown Lands Department, Mr. Speaker, I often say they are custodians of the land assets of the government. They get involved in leasing of lands, sale of house lots, etc., etc. I personally, Mr. Speaker, do not believe that's their core function. I believe lands that are considered to be ideal for housing should be vested into the Department of Housing or whichever entity is responsible. Crown Land should not be involved in rental of lands and sale of lands in the manner in which it's done. We are not equipped for that. However, what I believe is most important is that we really and truly should have what I call a land commission. A land commission under new legislation that appoints a board of commissioners responsible for Crown property. As it is now, Mr. Speaker, the legislation, I can't recall how old it is, it's probably as old as the Roads and Works Act, maybe 1947 or thereabout, and it speaks to the Governor General and the Commissioner of Crown Lands. When you read through that piece of legislation, archaic, it almost makes you believe that the land of the Crown Lands belong to the Commissioner. And he can really do whatever he wants. When you read the legislation, or the Governor General can do what he wants. So we need to modernize this legislation, Mr. Speaker. Bring it into modern times so that you have a commission, a land commission of commissioners comprising a complement of individuals, persons who probably have served in the judiciary, in the public service, who have no interest whatsoever, and to allow that to be the body that will oversee the assets of the state as far as lands are concerned, and to be able to determine which lands are for housing, which lands are for investment, which lands should be kept under the watch of that authority. Mr. Speaker, the issue of planning, Mr. Speaker. Recently, we were able to appeal to the Prime Minister for an allocation of $200,000, which will be used for what we call control of unplanned developments. And what I speak of, Mr. Speaker, is the ease with which people can just build anywhere. On the sidewalk, anywhere they can build, and by the time the DCA wakes up, then it's too late because that person has built. We need to be able to respond much quicker. So the $200,000, Mr. Speaker, will be able to allow us to engage one or two individuals who can act as policemen and who can enforce the law to ensure that persons don't build illegally, but really get them to conform to the laws of the land and to be able to follow the right path. So that, Mr. Speaker, I can assure you we will be utilizing effectively. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity you have given me. I think I have dealt with most of what I intended to deal with. There's some areas where we need to emphasize in the structure of the Department of Infrastructure, and that is the Design, Planning and Implementation Unit. That unit, Mr. Speaker, is necessary. One of the things we have encountered in recent times, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that many occasions when we are called to undertake projects, one of the problems which affects us, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that the department doesn't have shovel-ready projects. So the minister, the prime minister, or the cabinet decides we would like to reconstruct or build a road in a particular place, and they do not have a shovel-ready project. What we are looking at, Mr. Speaker, the Planning, Design and Implementation Unit, is to be able to design in-house all of those projects, to be able to have at least a record of all roads, to design new roads and to design existing roads, and whenever we are called upon to be able to respond easily. The list of roads I gave you, Mr. Speaker, which is what I call priority package number 1, that list, Mr. Speaker, as we speak, all of the roads that I listed, from Carter, Lacroix, all the way down, all of the roads I listed early on, all of the roads have been designed, the strip designs have been done, the detailed drawings have been done, and the costings have been done. So it means, Mr. Speaker, within days, anytime from now, because we have been able to do it, we are able now to respond effectively and to commence anytime. So the decision to establish a planning, design, and implementation unit is really to expedite the process with which the department moves and to stop the delays that oftentimes really takes a long time. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to once again commend the Prime Minister on having Mr. Speaker, a member just passed me a note. You haven't spoken about the Parliament building. Mr. Speaker, I must say that if there's one member in this Parliament who cares about the Parliament building, is the Minister for Infrastructure. The last time I spoke to him, Mr. Speaker, he informed me that he did a tour of the Parliament building, and he said in no uncertain terms must the Parliament building be in this condition. I am hoping that I can sit, Mr. Speaker, with the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance so that we can move forward with it. And as a matter of fact, we do have an allocation there for the Parliament building. I hope I can get it now, an allocation to commence work. Much of the work members you have seen so far is as a consequence of the initiative taken to try and enhance the Parliament building. We have created more parking, Mr. Speaker. We've been able to get, flag poles and bollards out there. We are looking at the space on this floor, which used to be the Ministry of Finance, and the upper floor, which was one time the Prime Minister's office. All of those locations, Mr. Speaker, we're looking at. We're hoping that for the opening of Parliament this week, we'd have done the terrazzo, pavement, etc., to really enhance the place. There is quite a lot of work to be done on the electricity infrastructure. If you notice, we seem to be having outages, blackouts sometimes in the rotunda downstairs, in the parking lot. Up to last night, very dark because of the lighting. Therefore, notwithstanding the allocation that is within the budget, I believe it's probably about $200,000+. I can't find it now. I will be going to the Minister for Finance for a request, which may be pretty close based on our earlier assessment, which may be in the vicinity of $1 million, to be able to do the work that is necessary here. It is important that we do it to provide greater comfort to members and also what I call the image of the Parliament. We have had, beg your pardon, only one? PM will have a chat. But it is important for our own prestige. We have had visitors in this Parliament on many occasions. We've had parliamentarians. I think this week, Mr. Speaker, we had parliamentarians from Dominica. We brought the athletes who came here. We have visitors who come all the time to this Parliament. And we really, Mr. Speaker, need to create the aura of an environment that is deserving of Parliament. And I look forward to the support of the Minister for Finance and other members if we have to come here for a vote, that I get your total support in this regard. Mr. Speaker, I want to end here. But in ending, I really believe, Mr. Speaker, that the support given to me over the last 3.5 years, moving on to 4, has been quite tremendous by the various public officers, be it at the Department of Physical Development, Physical Planning, Urban Renewal, or at the Department of Infrastructure, Ports, Transport, and etc. Mr. Speaker, it has been a tough one, but I believe my staff have been responsive, and therefore I want to thank both permanent secretaries, the permanent secretary in the Department of Physical Development and the permanent secretary in the Department of Infrastructure, Ports, Transport, the chief engineer, chief architect, and the staff, the persons in meteorology, the persons in the materials laboratory lab, those in the various departments, all of those who have, over the years, Mr. Speaker, given the necessary support. Today, I have not spoken much, or I have not spoken at all, Mr. Speaker, about SLASPA, but SLASPA, the Prime Minister mentioned in his address, have been taking a number of initiatives. Apart from the redevelopment of the airport, they're now speaking about developing Mulashik Lighthouse, and later to do the VG Lighthouse as really attractions for both locals and visitors. I want to thank all those, Mr. Speaker, who have given me support over the years from the various departments. I want to thank my constituency for having returned me time and time again, and this time there's no excuse. It is about to happen. It's only a matter of time. They can send who they want. They can have all the international experience that they claim to have. All they're doing is searching for a whipping that they'll never, ever imagine. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. And I wish to endorse this appropriation bill as presented by the Honorable Minister for Finance.